today we are talking about. I did all that and I didn't have my mic plugged in. Yikes. What's up, YouTube? How you feeling? How you living? What's good? It's your girl Francie. Today is Friday, which means it's Fact Friday when we get into the straight facts about what's really going on. Today we are talking about the statistics, the straight facts. Okay. Like I said, it's five Fridays in the month of May, and today's video is going to be a wee bit short, mainly because, well, I didn't really know what else to do today. To be really honest. But I think this is interesting because I think when you look at the facts, when you look at the straight numbers and you look at that and kind of come to your own conclusions from those, it's really interesting to look at the different demographics, how they are affected by mental illness, different between men and women, between races, between straight LGBT. I think it's really interesting. So that being said, though this is going to be a short video, we should just get into it. Okay, so again, let's look at the straight facts. As I said in the video prior, 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience some type of mental illness in 1 year, which is equivalent to 19%, or 47.6 million people. That's a lot of people, and that's in 1 year's time. So that shows that a lot of people deal with this, and it's not something that needs to be looked at as unusual, because if 1 in 5 people, that's a big demographic. 4.6% or 1 in 25 U.S. adults end up with a serious mental illness. So that's even more, even though that's a bigger gap, that's still not really that small. That's not really that small of an amount. 4.6%, that's a lot of people. 16.5% of U.S. youth between the age of 6 and 17 experience a mental health disorder. That one kind of threw me for a loop. I was surprised by that one because I find it interesting that kids between the age of 6 and 17 experience mental illness that frequently. And then, of course, as I've been talking about consistently throughout this Mental Health Awareness Month, 3.7% of U.S. adults have a co-occurring substance abuse disorder that goes with their mental illness, which is called a dual diagnosis. So that shows that, unfortunately, a lot of those people, if it's 19.1% of people that have experienced mental illness, then 3.7% of those people also have a coexisting substance abuse issue. That's a pretty big number. Now, annually, let's go through the different demographics in regards to race. 14.7 Asian Americans say that they have a mental illness in the U.S. 20.4 white Americans say they have a mental illness. 16.2% of African Americans say they have a mental illness in the U.S. In regards to American Indian and Native Americans, 22.1% say they have a mental illness, which I'll pause on that one because Native Americans aren't a huge demographic, unfortunately. Don't get me started on that. Okay, we're not drifting off. But 22.1% of them say they have a mental illness. That's a huge amount for them to be such a minority. So that was kind of alarming to me. Mixed race, multiracial individuals, 26% of them say that they have a mental illness, and then Hispanic and Latina is 16.9%. And then in the LGBT community, there's 37.4%. That is the highest percentage in regards to demographics, which is actually not surprising. And again, we're not going to get into that. But that is very alarming because that shows that people in the LGBT community suffer at a higher rate than, different demographics as regards to race than anybody. I know that, of course, LGBTQ is not a race. Don't think I'm saying that. But I'm saying when you look at different demographics, i.e. race or gender or things of that nature, they're the highest. So let's look at different mental disorders and see the percentages of those. Of course, like I said in my previous video, major depressive disorder is the most frequently diagnosed mental health issue, and it is prevalent in 7.2% of Americans, or 17 million people. Schizophrenia affects less than 1%. Bipolar disorder is 2.8%. Actually, anxiety disorder is pretty high. That's 9.1%. And post-traumatic stress disorder affects 3.6% of people. So, like I said, those are like the top disorders out there right now. Let's look at treatment, right? Because treatment is really important. When you look at how many people are getting treatment in comparison to how many people say they have a mental illness, it's interesting to look at. 43% of U.S. mental illnesses, 43% of U.S. adults end up getting mental health treatment. And this is made in 2018. 64% of adults have serious mental illness treatment, and then 50.6% of youth between the ages of 6 to 17 are being treated for mental health disorder. The thing that's alarming to me in reading these demographics is that children are a lot more frequently getting treated and diagnosed with mental illnesses. Now, I know that a lot of mental illnesses do become prevalent in childhood. And because of that, you know, when you catch it early, it's very important. So that is actually a good thing to me. But it's also like surprising, because it's like, how many kids end up having a disorder which they have to get severe treatment for is alarming, but also not surprising. So let's look kind of at the overall understanding and the overall effect of mental illness and percentages when it comes to other things. So not just, getting treatment, but to like physical health. Now, people with depression. Okay, listen up. We are 40% more likely to develop a cardiovascular disease. Now, that is surprising and alarming. And like I spoke about in my self-care video, I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that when you have depression, you don't take care of yourself very well. And then when you don't take care of yourself very well, you end up getting sick. If you don't take care of your physical health, if you don't go running and get your cardio in, and if you just like if you're depressed, like when I'm depressed, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. I just want to literally, let's not go into my depressed thoughts, but that can explain that. Then we have 19.3% of those with mental illness have substance use disorder, like I said. And we already know the connection to that. It's self-medication. Unfortunately, a lot of people in this country don't have health insurance. So they turn to alcohol and drugs, and that is a ripple effect in and of itself. The rate of unemployment is higher among U.S. adults with a mental illness at 5.8%, compared to those who don't have a mental illness, which is 3.6%. Again, if you have a severe mental illness, it's going to be hard for you to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be hard for you to work. It's going to be hard for you to cope with the things that come with working. And that's why a lot of people get on Social Security, because they are able to work and their mental illness is what causes that. And then you look at high school students with significant symptoms of depression, or more than twice likely to drop out of school. That is absolutely crazy to me. But again, when you're depressed, you don't care, you have no purpose, you have no, that's kind of a symptom of depression, is loss of purpose, loss of hopelessness, helplessness. And when you feel that way, I mean, I can understand being like, you know what, I just don't want to go to school. And it's very unfortunate, but it happens. And now we know twice as likely as their peers to drop out of school. That's crazy. Let's look at the impact of mental health on the community as a whole. Okay? Mental illness and substance use disorders are involved in 1 out of 8 emergency department visits. So going to the emergency room. That's 12 million visits a year. Now, of course, if you have thoughts of suicide, if you have thoughts of hurting yourself, definitely go to the emergency room, get some help, get some, the That's definitely important. Maybe attempts, unfortunately, may be causing that. Of course, mood disorders are the most common cause of hospitalizations for those under 45 years old. Like I said, again, well, that's in general. That's not even people with mental illness. Let me add that in. So that's saying that under the age of 45, you're more likely to go to the doctor for a mood disorder, to be hospitalized for a mood disorder, then of course, other than being pregnant, right? Like that's pretty common. But besides that, 20.1% of those experiencing homelessness in the U.S. have a serious mental health condition. I am doing a whole video about homelessness in this country because a lot of my clients were homeless or are homeless, and we don't do anywhere near enough to help these people. And like I said in my video about the issue with the criminalization of pretty much mental illness, a lot of those people are homeless and they get arrested because of homelessness. And it's very common. 20% of the homeless population have a serious mental illness that is probably getting untreated because they don't have insurance and they don't have money to go to the doctor. That's a problem. And I'm a keep going in about the fact that we need to help these people, because then we wouldn't have all these people on the streets if they were, you know what I mean? Then, of course, we're back to the youth. 70% of youth in juvenile detention centers have a diagnosed mental illness. Is anybody surprised? No. And 41% of veterans are diagnosed with mental illness or substance use disorder, which is sad because a lot of the times it comes from their service, and unfortunately a lot of times they don't get the treatment they need for it. So, that being said, looking at these statistics, looking at how this affects us as a whole, us as a community, different demographics, it's very apparent that there's a problem that needs to be addressed. When you see that, higher rates of unemployment, higher rates of homelessness, higher rates of ending up in a juvenile detention center, higher rates of just cardiovascular issues, like that isn't even related to your mental health, and it affects you. And that's why I think the best thing we can do is spread awareness, spread the word to people to get help. I mean, I know what it feels like to be like, I can handle it on my own. Like I've talked about this in my prior video, and I'll link it here. I know what it's like. Like you can handle it. Like, I'm fine. The I'm fine is really what could kill a lot of people. Like, and I want to make sure that we get these statistics and it shows you the numbers, so you can't just be like, oh, we're just making it a bigger deal than it is. Mental health isn't that important. It is. So we need to talk about it. And tomorrow I'm going to talk about breaking the stigma, how we break the stigma, why we need to break the stigma. Of course, this is why. When you look at these statistics, this is why. But yeah, that's the video for today. And I really hope that maybe these numbers can make you realize the severity of the issue. So yeah, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to share this to somebody and let them know, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Let's be aware. Let's keep the numbers out there and get people to realize how important this is. And share this video. If you're not subscribed, you can hit the subscribe button. It's free. It's right there. And with that being said, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.